Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, any and everyone in between that. Thank you for all the love over the last couple of days. Thank you to everyone who watched the breakdown earlier on with myself and Tony the Pugilist Boy. Also a special guest appearance from Maestro. It was eventful. There wasn't a huge amount of action to talk about, so we decided to have a little fun at the end of it. There will be more fun things to come later on in the pipeline. We've got plans and stuff going on. But look, there's been quite a few things that have happened over the last couple of days, so I'm gonna give a few minutes to everything. I just want to touch on some of the topics. So without further ado, let's get into it. So it's been made official on February the 18th, Leewood will face Mauricio Lara for the WBA super featherweight title, or is it just the WBA super featherweight title? I don't know if they've got a super in that division at the moment, but either way, he's a champ. But Lara will be his second defense of the title. No, Lara will be his first defense of the full title, second defense of the WBA title as a whole. Now, everyone said that he was ducking Lara the last time based off of what Sam Jones said. He's like, well, what do you get fighting Lara besides a headache? Well, he wants that smoke. You know what? I can't fault him. Win, lose or draw, you can't call Leewood a coward. Can't say he ducked anybody because he wants that smoke. I'm trying to decide if I can actually go to that fight. Hopefully I will be able to. I like it up in Nottingham, and a fight like that, I feel like you just kind of have to be there live. It feels like that kind of event, but we'll see. Either way, I got no issues with it. I'm a bit concerned that we're 5 weeks away and there hasn't been anything of the undercard announced. The fact that sort of the Zone and Matchroom have been a little slow with giving us the rollout. They've done nothing for January, and now it looks as if that's going to be their first card of the year. No, sorry, that's their second card, because the first card in the UK, second card overall, but the first card in America had a full undercard announced at the exact same time. This one doesn't seem to have much, and again, like I said, we're about 5 weeks away, so a little curious about that, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I may wait to look on tickets. Let me see what the undercard's saying, then I'll see what seats are left and kind of take it from there. But me being me, I've already provisionally booked some accommodation just in case I need to make a trip up to the East Midlands. So we've got an official announcement that Anthony Joshua will be starting a training camp next week, and it will be in the USA. Now, there's no announcement as to who his trainer is, but most people are speculating that it is Derek James at this point. That might be a very good fit for Joshua. He'll definitely work on sort of body punching. It will be interesting to see if he can work with Joshua to be more explosive in and out of the pocket. That might be an interesting thing, because that's what his other fighters all seem to have in common, is they are able to explode out of the pocket after sort of forcing their way in, doing their work and getting out. It's not something we've seen AJ do, so if that's something he can add to his game, I'm all for it. There's also the rumor that he will possibly be fighting Dempsey McKean in his comeback fight in April, which I believe has been touted for the 1st of April. Now, April Fool's Day, do I really want that to be the time you come back? I don't know. If that's a cruel joke, remember, you heard it here first. But look, I've heard a lot of people talk about Dempsey McKean, or who's this guy, like, why is he going to be fighting someone that I've never heard of, blah blah blah. Look, at the end of the day, most people don't know every single boxer in the world. I sure as hell don't. But you don't know 30% of the heavyweights, you don't know 20% of the welterweights. Like, at the end of the day, we all know a certain amount of names in it. Now, just because you haven't heard of Dempsey McKean doesn't mean he's not a credible opponent. I've seen him fight numerous times. He is signed to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and has been for the last 2 years. His best win is probably against Jonathan Rice, who, while some people looked at as a journeyman, he seems to be going on leaps and bounds recently. And actually, the win over Rice looks a lot better now than it did back in 2020 when he actually beat him. 6'6" southpaw, tall guy. Not the greatest of opponents. Like, as a comeback fight, that's exactly what it is. He's supposed to be able to get rid of Dempsey McKean, but McKean will offer some resistance. I would give good money for McKean to beat the majority of everyone from 15 to 30 in the heavyweight division, or at least be highly competitive. Give them a tough outing. Within the top 15, he could probably be competitive up until maybe 11, 12. I don't think he'll necessarily beat those guys, but he's good enough. Like, he's an alright opponent. I don't really have an issue with that. And again, people who were saying, "Oh, I've never heard of this guy," you didn't hear of Otto Wallin before he fought Tyson Fury. Now everyone wants AJ to fight Otto Wallin. You know what I mean? Like, you probably didn't hear of Kevin Lorena before he dropped Daniel Dubois 3 times, and now you'll at least know him as this. He's a big cruiserweight, but you know his name now. Joseph Parker, you probably didn't know of Joseph Parker until him and AJ unified titles, or maybe you heard of him because of Andy Ruiz, but Andy Ruiz wasn't a big guy at that point. A lot of people didn't know who Andy Ruiz was. He was just this fat Mexican guy. No one even knew he had an amateur pedigree and could box his ass off. So I don't really take stock in it when people are like, "Oh, who's this person? I never heard of him." It's an outrage. Like, if you just stuck to the same guys over and over again, the same guys are going to get recycled over and over again, and then those wins and losses don't actually achieve anything. I would much rather go in the ring with these people with O's, and if the O is not worth it, take it. It's that simple. If you can't protect that O, then give it up, and then work through the rest of things. Maybe you rebuild yourself. Sometimes maybe taking a loss is better than padding your record on nothing wins, because you learn a lot more and you get better from it. So yeah, I'm definitely of the mindset, no more protecting the O in 2023 and beyond, and we'll keep it moving. So if that is the case for AJ, I ain't got no problems with it, and I don't think you should have either. Rumor has it that the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk could now end up taking place in the UK as opposed to the Middle East. Now, funnily enough, I kind of always have said that I don't think this fight goes to the Middle East, or any undisputed fight goes to the Middle East, if Eddie Hearn's not involved. Before everyone's like, "Oh, you're such an Eddie Hearn fanboy." It's not that. Simply put, Eddie has got the connection with the Saudis, and he's had that connection for a while. If you remember, back in 2021, they were not happy at the failed negotiations to get the undisputed fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. They don't really seem to have a great relationship with Bob Arum. I don't think they like him too much. If for those who don't know, he tried to get Saudi back in for a bout between Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao back in, I believe it was 2019, just before pandemic happened, and they didn't allow it. Basically, they said no, and he was working with Eddie, and then the whole arbitration thing happened, and I don't really think he's got the greatest relationship with them now. So it looks as if they're pivoting now to that fight being in London. So it would likely be a Wembley or a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or like the Queen's, the Olympic Park Stadium or something like that, the Emirates. Maybe even Old Trafford, because Tyson Fury says he wants to fight up there at Old Trafford. Who knows? But you know what? That's all good with me. I'm quite happy if it ends up there, and if it ends up anywhere in the UK. As much as I'm not really big on the stadium fights unless I'm right by ringside. I know I'm not going to be spending ringside money to get there, and I doubt I'll get press accreditations to go. So I might even, but I probably would just be happy just to be in the atmosphere, provided I'm not like all the way at the back of the bleachers. I'm sure I could still have a good time. But yeah, gotta see what it's saying. It's all good though. Not really an issue. So yeah, let's see what happens with that moving forward. Now, rumor is Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman have agreed to a fight to happen in April, but the fight is going to be at 154 pounds instead of 147. So it's going to be a non-title bout between the two. My question to that is, why would the sanctioning bodies allow this when he's got back-to-back mandatories? And from what we are told, Keith Thurman is supposed to be his mandatory at 147. So why would they then be allowed to have that fight at 154 without a belt going vacant? I'm gonna address this directly to Danny of Fight Fan TV. If this actually does go down the way it's happening, yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation, because I told you from years ago that Spence was ducking Crawford, and you told me it was all a part of the plan. Well, I need to know what part of the plan 154 pounds is, because this ain't it. We can do this debate any way you want. If it's got to go to Monday Night Smoke, be prepared to get hurt. You know, I won't be pulling no punches on this one. If we do it on your platform, we can do it on mine. We're gonna have to have a conversation about this, and it's not gonna be a nice conversation for one of us. That's 100% sure. That being said, what do I think of the fight? Well, I look at that fight as a tune-up. Now, yes, look, Keith Thurman has only ever lost one fight in his career, but he is basically a part-time boxer at this point. He doesn't fight regularly enough. He fluctuates in weight. I don't really know what's left. I think he's literally just looking for the biggest paydays possible. But fighting in a bout with no belts on the line, I don't really see how that benefits you at all, especially when everyone knows belts generate more interest and fanfare, especially when you've got a quote-unquote star. So yeah, I'm gonna need to kind of understand how that one goes down, basically. That also being said though, if that fight is touted for April, is that not the same month that you're supposed to get Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Now, PBC would not be stupid enough to put on two pay-per-views for $80 to $100 within the same month. Like, that is a recipe for disaster, and that will hemorrhage money left, right and center. They're not that dumb. So does that then not tell you that, well, if that fight is being touted for April, the Gervonta Davis and Tank fight, the Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia fight doesn't happen? Now, I said on one of Ade's streams a couple days ago, I said, sorry to burst everyone's bubble, but Gervonta Davis will not be fighting Tank Garcia in April, and you can screenshot this. Well, it looks very much like that is the case. Let's also not forget Tank is on trial in February for 14 counts of a killer hit and run. And they already dismissed a plea deal which would stop him from serving any jail time and having a house arrest and suspended sentence as well. So they want him to serve some form of time in a correctional facility. I don't think he will be making the April date, which is probably why he ended up fighting Hector Garcia in January, just to guarantee that he's got a payday to see out whatever period of time they might make him do behind bars. So yeah, I really don't see that one happening. But back to Keith and Errol. I mean, look, if that one happens, then as far as I'm concerned, every single sanctioning body, the IBF, the WBC and the WBA, just need to strip those belts from him immediately. Give boots to the IBF one, since he already just won the interim. Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz will win the WBA, whoever wins that particular fight when that happens. And then the WBC, well, that can go up in the air. And maybe you can make Terence Crawford a mandatory for one and have it as a unification, just like they do with the women. at this point, that seems to be the best play of action, because other than that, it's embarrassing at this point. Like, the way the PBC move is mad. But I'm gonna leave it there because it's late. I want to get some rest, and if anything else does jump up, we will definitely be talking about it throughout the week. There will be basis picks on Friday. It'll be a quick one, so I might even do that tomorrow, just after I finish work and a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe as I did ask at the beginning of the video. And for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.